Hello there, and welcome back to the We Miss the Exit show. It is time for our Bahrain Grand Prix review. The race was last week. Finally getting around to doing the review. Hopefully you enjoyed the preview. We'll get to that in just a second. There's a race next weekend, no race this weekend, and excited that the season is back. Hopefully you are too. All right, so let's get into the race. The Bahrain Grand Prix kicked off the last few seasons. The first race of the season, 3D ERS zones. A lot of fun with those last year on historically a nighttime race. And let's get into the results. Max Verstappen absolutely dominated this race. Wasn't even close. It says Perez was 12 seconds, about 12 seconds behind him, but no, Max was out by like a 30-second lead at one point. He asked if he needed to take things back a little bit. He just flat out dominated this race. You can see Alonso was 40 seconds behind him. Um, we'll get to that in a little bit. A few things that kind of drove me nuts about that. Um, and then, like I said, Verstappen won, Perez two, Alonso third, Sainz fourth, Hamilton fifth, Stroll sixth, Russell seventh, Bottas eighth, Gasly ninth, and Albon got 10th. Now, to start off the race on the formation lap, a little bit of a tricky situation for Stroll. Went off the track. Luckily, he didn't hit any of the curves or anything and was able to get back on the track. No, obviously, no damage to the car. He finished the race here in sixth place, but made you wonder. He had a little bit of issues in practice and qualifying. Wondering if that hand, which we learned was a lot worse than, at least a lot worse than I originally thought, and he had a foot injury. Wondering if that was going to play a factor and just knock him out of the race, but it didn't. All right, sorry. So right off the bat, Max and Charles Leclerc had a great start. Perez a little bit slow on the start, but did end up fighting back. Lots of sparks, lots of sparks flying off the cars as they go around the track. Right at the beginning of the race, Stroll hits Alonso, his teammate. Yes, Stroll hits Alonso, and Alonso's team does a great job at not telling him who hit him. Obviously, keeping it secret at least for most of the race. Alonso asking over and over again who hit him and if they're getting penalized, but nothing obviously ever came from that. And again, just makes you wonder, is Stroll even going to be able to finish this race? And how much is that bothering him? But like I said, Max off to a quick start, and by the end of the first lap, he's well over a second away and just pulling away. He just, again, dominated this race, wasn't even close. Um, Lap 9, Russell's already complaining about Hamilton's pace. Is he struggling? Is he saving his tires? And it sounded like the team was saying that Hamilton was struggling. I didn't do a video about the liveries for this year, but I was nervous when Mercedes showed off their black car and going with the carbon. Were they nervous that the paint was going to make them that much slower? We'll see what happens, but that was my first thought when I saw the all black car. One, are they cutting back on weight because they're worried about the car? And two, I really missed the silver arrow. I thought that's a really cool design, but that's neither here or there. Again, Russell complained about Hamilton. I think Hamilton was struggling a little bit, but I think for the most part, he's probably just saving his tires and saving it. They weren't that far off pace at that time. Lap 10 is when the pits start. Gasly's the first one in, and he goes on hards. Um, Lap 11, Alonso is gaining on Russell. Norris heads into the pits, gets put on hards, and he's having car issues. He comes out in last place, but his hydraulics are. He's having issues with the hydraulics. They need to fill up his hydraulics while he's in the pits. Sunoda also pits. He goes on the hards. The next lap, lap 12, De Vries pits. Hulkenberg pits. Bottas pits. Albon. They all go on hards. Albon also pits. Ends up on softs. Lap 13, Hamilton pits. Um, Ocon pits. Sargent pits. And Joe pits. They're all on hards except for Sargent, who's also on softs, like his teammate. Uh, so lap 13, Alonso finally gets around Russell, and it was a great move. Great battle back and forth between the both of them. They weren't really even close to hitting each other, but Alonso, again, great move on Russell. I believe that moved him. I don't know why I didn't write it down, but I believe that did move him up into fourth place or fifth place at the time. Um, Lap 14, Leclerc comes into the pits. He's on hards. Sainz is in the pits. He's on hards. Russell's in the pits. He's on hards. It is a slow pit stop for him. That didn't help. Pastry goes into the pits, and they hand him a new steering wheel. He's having some issues. They put hard tires on. It's taken a long time, long time, long time, and then the announcement comes out, and Pastry is out of the race. So McLaren's down one car already. Verstappen, lap 15, Verstappen comes into the pits. He's going on softs, which was interesting because they were already on softs. Kind of wonder, make you think what the strategy is there. Alonso in the pit behind him, going on hards. So everyone's going on hards except for the Williams and Verstappen at this point. Lap 16, Stroll's in the pits, and he's on hards already. Ocon goes to the pits and he gets hard tires. Maybe it wasn't Ocon before that went in the pits. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Lap 16, Ocon's in the pits hards. He's serving a 5 second penalty as well for an issue with his starting position, and he also got a new wing from small collision earlier in the race. Had a little bit of debris hanging off. Lap 17, Fernando Alonso gets around Bottas. Lap 18, Perez finally comes into the pits and originally looked like he was going on hards, but nope, he's going on softs. Norris comes into the pits again and he is getting more hydraulic fluid. At least that's what I think they said. Good thing they put screens on the cars for advertising, and one car out already, and Norris is in the pits for a second time with hydraulic issues. Lap 20, Stroll gets around Bottas as well. Ocon comes out. Ocon did not properly serve his 5 second penalty. He now has a 10 second penalty, and it comes out later that he was speeding through the pits and has to serve an additional 5 second penalty. Lap 24, Norris passes Ocon. Norris doing great despite all these crazy pit stops that he has to do. He's just a great driver, I think. Lap 25, Perez is catching Leclerc, who is currently in second. Ocon comes in to serve his 10 second penalty. Um, Lap 26, Perez finally gets around Leclerc. Uh, Relatively easy move, no problems there, good battle. Lap 29, Norris has to pit again to get some more hydraulic fluid. He's only gone 11 laps and he's already back in. Ocon has to serve, again, like I said, another 5 second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Lap 30, Bottas pits, he's going on hards. Lap 31, Hamilton pits on hards. Stroll pits on hards. Lap 32, Sainz is going to pit. He goes on hards. Russell pits. He's going on hards. And as they come out, Stroll passes Russell. So now Stroll is in ahead of Russell. So you have Red Bull, Ferrari, Aston Martin, Mercedes, Aston Martin, Mercedes. Lap 34, Leclerc pits. He goes on hards again. Lap 35, Perez pits and he goes on hards. Alonso pits. He's on hards. Leclerc comes out onto third. Sainz is in fourth. Hamilton moves up to fifth, making some space there. So it looks like the battles for second by this point. Verstappen's just way far ahead of everyone else. It's where they're battling for podiums at this point. It's a battle between Leclerc, Perez, Alonso, Hamilton, and Russell and Stroll to a lesser extent. Lap 36, Verstappen finally pits. He's on hards. Lap 37, Alonso gets past Hamilton. Um, and then Hamilton passes him back, and as he passes him back to me, on the commentary they said that um, Alonso kind of lost his back end, which he did do earlier. But to me, it looked like Alonso was kind of avoiding a collision from Hamilton. Um, in my opinion, it looked like Hamilton was kind of driving into Alonso. Lap 38, Alonso passes Hamilton again. Beautiful move. Shows his experience. He just made a beautiful move. That next two laps, Hamilton's still on Alonso, and then lap 41, Leclerc loses power. Engine just shuts down as he comes around a corner, and luckily he puts his car in a good position. But we have a virtual safety car as they gotta move Leclerc's car out of the way. Lap 42, the virtual safety car is ending, and after it ends, Gasly gets around Albon, Tsunoda gets around De Vries. Lap 43, Ocon is out of the race. I'm assuming they never really said, but I'm assuming all the penalties, he's far off the pace. I'm assuming it's just to save the engine. Lap 44, Alonso is on signs, and now they're battling um, for podium. Max is way far ahead. Perez is, you know, well over 10 seconds behind him, and Alonso is battling Sainz for that third place position. Lap 46, Alonso finally gets around Sainz and ends up in third place. Lap 49, Norris pits for the fifth time, and lap 56, Norris pits again. So he's pit four times so far. And at the end of the race, Max way ahead. Perez again 12 seconds behind him, which puts him 26 seconds ahead of Alonso. And at the end of the race, Zhou ended up with the fastest lap, but it made me wonder. You saw all these times Mercedes they took their second car a lot and made them go and didn't make them, but often would put them in a position where they were trying for fastest lap. And I just don't understand why Red Bull didn't do that. Bring Perez in towards the end of the race, give him softs. I understand you're kind of risking a lot, but to get that extra point, that would have helped him a lot last year. Would have helped Perez out a lot last year. I know why they didn't bring Verstappen in. Perez is just a few seconds behind him, but why didn't Red Bull bring in Perez to put him on soft tires to try to go for fastest lap? I know it would have been close with Alonso, but still, it's clear your car is a lot faster than everyone else. It's clear that he would have been able to keep second place. There's a lot of risks, but man, it just seems like a missed opportunity there to get an extra point. So again, Red Bull ends up 1-2. First time since like 2013, I think they said that there's been a 1-2 Red Bull. I have a feeling we're going to see quite a bit of that this coming season. Alonso on the podium, it's great to see that again. That Aston Martin looks a lot like a car that we saw last year on the track that had a bowl on it that was red. Um, I wonder where that came from, but it's a fast car. It's got that great Mercedes engine, and it's got the design of Red Bull. It's going to be a hell of a competitor. And so, great race. Again, no fastest lap because of Joe. Um, but great to see that what we thought was going to be Red Bull, Mercedes, Ferrari competing for first place in all the races this year. It looks like Aston Martin is so far a legitimate contender this year. Very worried about McLaren. This was not a great race for them. I feel bad for Norris. He's a great driver. Um, Ricardo, $18 million sitting at home, not having to worry about any of this garbage. Good for him, but um, Norris in a competitive car would do great. Um, and it's just sad. I'm hoping he has a good season. I like Norris a lot. I think he's a great driver. So didn't change the title again, but the Bahrain Grand Prix predictions versus reality. I got 4 out of 10 right. That's I think a record for me. I feel really good about that. I got Verstappen, Perez, uh, Sainz, and Hamilton all in the correct positions. I feel really good about that. My driver of the day. Um, Max Verstappen heavily dominated this race. Alonso podium. You think it would have been them, but no, it's the guy who went from last place P20 and ended up in the points P9. That is Pierre Gasly. Um, I thought Alpine was going to have a garbage car. Didn't think there was any way he's going to end up in points. Obviously, Leclerc going out and Ocon probably going out definitely helped him with that. But Gasly to go from 20th to 9th, I think that's great for him and that car. So he is my driver of the day. As far as standings goes, we have Verstappen first, Perez second, Alonso third, Sainz fourth, Hamilton fifth, Stroll sixth, Russell seventh, Bottas eighth, Gasly ninth, Albon 10th, and then the rest don't matter because they all have points. Obviously, that's only because this is the only race, so we'll see what happens. Constructors Championships. Red Bull in the lead with 43 points. Aston Martin in second with 23. Mercedes in third with 16. Ferrari in fourth with 12. Alfa Romeo in fifth with 4. Alpine in sixth with 2. Williams got some points on the race here. Great race from Albon. They have 1 point. AlphaTauri and Haas and McLaren all have 0 points. Uh, I have a feeling one of those teams is going to be without points for quite a while. Hint, I don't think it's McLaren. You can figure out the other two. Um, but we'll see. Thanks for watching. This is the We Miss the Exit Show. You can find us on Twitter at We Miss the Exit Show, streaming on Twitch here, We Miss the Exit, YouTube, also We Miss the Exit, and on Instagram at We Miss the Exit. Most active right now on Instagram. We're posting about our basketball, which is going to go on for the next few weeks. So if you have some time, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Twitch. Mostly sports, video games. If you like those, join us. Thanks for watching and have a great day. And let's look forward to race next week. We'll probably do our show Saturday night after we get a chance to go over qualifying.